Guys, we're back for another exciting episode of the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, and this is a good week, and it's a good week for a couple of reasons. One, I guess the Open is happening. It's, whatever. I'm not focused on the Open this week. I'm focused on hashtag the Oven 17, presented by Eat Sleep Golf. I'm headed to Tucson, Arizona tomorrow. I'll be in Phoenix tomorrow night for the Champions Dinner. Tubby Baldwin, last year's champion, is hosting the dinner. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. From there, I'm headed down to Tucson. We have a practice round on Friday at Sewilo Golf Club. Saturday, we're headed to La Paloma Country Club, a Troon Privé facility for round one. Back to Sewilo for round two on Sunday. And a bunch of fun planned in between. Hashtag the Oven 17 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow, and it's going to be an awesome weekend. And the guy that's in the hot seat tonight has got some experience with the oven, and we'll talk a little bit about that tonight, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about because this guy is dialed in when it comes to club fitting. But tonight's episode of the hashtag Wednesday Match Play is presented by Eat Sleep Golf. Those guys, actually, I'm a little jealous of the Eat Sleep Golf crew. They're actually in Phoenix right now. They were playing 36 holes today. They played Papago Golf Course this morning, Quintero Golf Club this afternoon. So they got there a little early, and they're getting some swings in that makes me a little nervous because they've got some good handicaps, so they might be tough to beat this weekend. But we have Doc Griffin with us from Doc Griffin Golf, and I've known Doc for a long time. He was on this show a long time ago, back when it was called the Friday Foursome. But it's not the Friday Foursome anymore. It's the hashtag Wednesday Match Play. Doc is with us. It's good to see you. Doc, welcome to the hashtag Wednesday Match Play.
Hey, thank you very much. Glad to do it.
Tell me who you are. Act like we've never met. What you do. Like, fill me in. Like, what is Doc Griffin Golf all about? I know what it's about. You have a lot of things. We're going to talk about club fitting and PXG and all the lessons that you do. Like, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But give me the elevator pitch. If somebody meets you and they say, "What are you all about?"
Well, I think the most succinct way to put it is I'm probably the best club fitter there is in the world, and I know that's being modest. My wife's over here laughing. Thanks, hon. But no, I am one of the best. I am definitely one of the few that are outside of the box thinkers when it comes to club fitting. So much of what goes on out in the world of club fitting is what's been handed down is this is how you do it, this is how you do it. And it's just based off of what I call fallacy and old school thinking. So my mantra is better golf is just a fit away. And in order to play your best golf, you've got to have the right tools. I equate it to an archer. If an archer has a quiver full of crooked arrows, no matter how much skill he's got, it's going to be a fluke when he hits the target. So for a person to play their best golf, they got to have the right equipment. And of all the things that the average American male doesn't take responsibility for when it is their fault, it amazes me when it comes to golf how many golfers say it's not my equipment, it's me. When most of the time what I see when people come in and get the fittings here in Columbia, or I go out and I do this worldwide, as you know, that most of the times the things that I'm seeing that are problems in their swing are a result of trying to play equipment that's ill fit, and they are subconsciously, I mean, it's not a conscious thing, but the human being will adapt and try to make something that doesn't necessarily fit or isn't the best at least perform acceptably, or they just walk away. They throw it down, walk away. I've seen people do that, just get totally disgusted. But who I am is, I would say, a facilitator. I am there to help an individual that has a desire to play the game, to be able to play the game, and then to be able to play the game better. Not only am I an international top 100 master fitter, I'm also a master teaching professional. So I marry the two. Again, go back to the archer. Let's take a skilled guy, but give him crooked arrows. He'll fail. But let's take a novice and give him straight arrows, who has no idea how to pull the bow back, how to aim, how to hold his breath, and how to pull and release. give him straight arrows, and he's going to fail. So you have to marry the proper equipment with the skill, and that's what we do. So part of what we've done as our commitment to the golfer is for everybody that gets a fitting and gets the equipment, we give them unlimited free lessons. So that's who I am. I am a facilitator in helping people achieve better golf.
Well, that is impressive, and you and I have known each other for a long time, and what's cool is that you have worked with some pretty big names, a couple of which we'll talk about tonight. You work with some unbelievably popular brands, PXG being one of them. They're the hottest and greatest thing on the market right now. So we're going to talk about that tonight a little bit too. But out of the gate, let's talk about the fitting process. So I could go get fit at Dick's Sporting Goods. I could go get fit at Golf Galaxy. Like any of these big box stores can fit me. But what's different between getting fit at a Golf Galaxy than getting fit with somebody like yourself? What sets you apart?
Whoa, man, that you open a can of worms, because
we only have a half an hour though. So
there was a period of time where there was a young lady that was out on tour, and I had helped her. I have done her equipment. I was her club tech. And after she got off tour, she lives here and she manages the golf department at Dick's. Last year, she asked me if I would help as a technician to come in, so I know firsthand what goes on in a Dick's. The difference is night and day. It's just night and day. For example, I'll give you one of the things that just set me off. If a golfer is hitting a ball out on a toe of a golf club, they want you to extend the club, make it longer. Now, what you're doing when you make the club longer is you're effectively making the lie angle more upright. So they will concede that if you're hitting the ball on the toe, that the club isn't at the right lie angle. But instead of fixing the lie angle, they make the club longer. Well, what if you got a guy that's, let's say 33 inches wrist to ground? Now, to most people, they're going, well, what does that mean? Average male is like 35 to 36 inches wrist to ground. So if you got a guy that's 33 and here you go making his clubs longer, he ain't got room to swing them. So what good are you doing? So what makes it different? I won't look at the top of your head and see how tall you are and say, my, you're 6'3", you need clubs that are longer. Since when did you start hitting a golf ball holding a club with the top of your head? I don't know many people that do that. In fact, I don't know any people that do that. And I'll give you one quick story. I had a linebacker for the University of South Carolina come in for a fitting some time ago. He's 6'4", but the dude had the arm span that he could walk down a hall, and clean walls on either side. I mean, that's why he was a linebacker. He could stand behind the center and guard on either end of the field, just about. I mean, really long arms. He was 34 inches wrist to ground, and he's 6'4". I'm basically 6 feet, and I'm 36. So he was 2 inches closer to the ground. Everywhere he went, they made his clubs 2 inches longer. When I'm doing his fitting, I said, dude, you need clubs half-inch shorter than men's standard, and we'll graduate them to where when we get down in the cuts, so when we get to the low end, they won't be quite a half-inch short. They'll be closer to standard. But I said, you don't need a 3-iron that's 2 inches over. You need a 3-iron that's a half-inch short. So that's 2.5 inches that I'm giving you. Made his set, and the man was on Mars. I mean, he absolutely loved it. So, I mean, this is the thing. And I'm probably, no, not probably, I am different when it comes to getting you in a shaft. The industry worries too much about flex. Knowing the flex of a club is like taking a picture of you as you're sitting there and cutting out everything in that picture except your right arm and showing me your right arm and saying, who is this a picture of? And I'm going, I ain't got a clue. So you take a 130-gram shaft at a stiff flex versus a 90-gram shaft at a stiff flex, and you're not talking about the same animal. But yet when you go into most big box retail fitting stores, stiff to them is stiff. And then they also, I think, use a bad method for deciding what flex somebody needs. And see, when I'm dealing with shafts, I'm dealing with the profile. To me, the most important part of the shaft is the part that goes into the club head. That controls your dispersion. Next part would be the kick point. That's going to control your launch and trajectory. So flex is measured at the butt end. To me, that's the least important part. So knowing the whole profile of the shaft, that sets me apart. I MOI match clubs, and we don't have time to go into that, but basically what MOI matching is that it takes the same amount of effort to swing 3-iron as it does a pitching wedge. The industry doesn't build clubs that way. So I MOI match. I'm building them to the length that the player needs based on his physical anatomy of reach, not how tall he is. And also, you know, when it comes to configuring a set, if your club head speed with a 5-iron is below 80, you don't get a 5-iron. But if you go in a golf store, they don't care. I had a guy in, bless his heart, I had a guy in yesterday. He's 36 inches off the ground like me, and his clubs were 1.5 inches over standard. I said, "Where'd you get this?" He said, "I got fit at XYZ. This company is well known. They've closed up 50% of their stores now." And I said, "Well, let me ask you something. They did your fitting. Did he have these clubs built, or did he go back in the back and bring out a box and say, 'These fit you'?" He said, "The latter." He said, "These will fit you." I said, "Well, you do know that they were closing up, right? And that he's trying to get rid of stock." He said, "At that point, it wasn't, this was in June." He said, "At that point, the announcement hadn't been made." I said, "I knew about it in April, but they hadn't been made public yet." So, you know, it was a case of where they were just trying to move stock. So I'm ethical. So that's how I'm different. I'm not just there trying to give you a bill of sale to get your money and get you out. You go into most big box stores, it's 15 to 20 minutes for a fitting. Full bag fitting for me takes 2 hours. So
awesome.
There's a difference.
PXG, brand new, hottest thing on the market right now, and that's from Scottsdale. Like I'm going to call it my roots because I only spent 5 years there. But PXG, talk about it. Are they as good as they say? And why did you get involved with that brand?
Oh, bless your heart. Nobody builds clubs like we do, period. Well, I build their clubs. Yes, if you are a fitter and don't build, they will build them there in Scottsdale, but I do the building. So they're right. Nobody else builds their clubs like they do, and I'm glad of it because I build them the way I build them, and I do it differently. But are they as good? They are very, very soft metal. I mean, they are like butter. I can, for example, to bend a Mura, which is a forged club, or a Mizuno. I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but neither am I pantyweight. And to bend those, I am literally squatting down and pushing up to bend them. They are so firm. The PXGs, I can stand there and just do like this and move them. They are that soft. Now, does that make them better? Quite honestly, I have to say no, it doesn't make them better. To give you a little background, they thinned the face down so much. They took the loft so strong that their claim that their irons were going further was simply because they delofted them so much that it created more spin. When you create lower the loft, you create more spin, you get higher launch, so it's going to go further. So a 6-iron compared to anybody else's 6-iron, which we did, Mizuno 6-iron set at the same loft as the PXG 6-iron with the same shaft, same golf ball, went same distance. So are they longer than anybody else's? No, they're not longer than anybody else's. Do they look prettier than anybody else's? I guess that would be a thing for you to decide for yourself as far as the aesthetics. I don't think all the little screws in the back make it all that pretty to me, because you're not changing them around and doing anything with them. They're just there. What it does do is making all those little screws in the little holes and having to pay somebody to put all the little screws in, or a machine doing it, raises the cost up. So to answer your question, are they better than anybody else's? No. Are they as good as anybody else's? Yes. But they don't outperform.
Okay, think that.
Now I did, like I said, I did 5 sets in May, and every one of the people that got them absolutely love them. Just give me my forged alpha clubs, and I'm just as happy.
Well, I'm
the
excited.
Key is to get the feel, that you want. So
your point about alpha, and we're not going to talk about alpha much this evening, but you did tell me when I said, what is alpha? You said 3 years ago you didn't know what PXG was. So that has me excited about what the future of alpha brings to my golf game and the golf game and the people that you're fitting and putting into alpha clubs. Now, in the same vein as PXG, Bryson DeChambeau just won with these single length irons. It sounds silly. Who would have thought of it? What is your take on single length irons? No way it works for everybody.
Generally speaking, I made a set for myself because I do make single length irons as well. But the only heads that I have found that really work, and when I say work, keep in mind you're taking a long iron, let's say a 4-iron, and then you're taking a sand wedge at the other end, and you're bringing them together and making them the same length, whether it's 37 inches or 36.5. That's the realm with which single length irons are designed. Now, DeChambeau engineered his own set, and his are longer, and they're like 6 degrees upright. I mean, nobody else could play his clubs but him. But when we're dealing with the single length, they're designed to be at 37 or 36.5. So when you bring a 5-iron down, let's just say to 37 or 4-iron down, you're making it 1.5 inches shorter, and you're making a sand wedge almost 2 inches longer. You get a disparaging amount in your yardages. So you've got to do something to be able to make the 5-iron go as far as it's supposed to, longer than the short version should go with it being shorter. And you got to make the sand wedge go shorter than it should go with a longer version shaft. And the only company that I've seen to get that absolutely right is Wishon. That's Tom Wishon. Used to be R&D with Golfsmith, and then he went out on his own many years ago. The man is the Einstein of golf. I mean, he is that smart. He's got over 450 first of design patents in the golf industry. The way he achieved it is he made the 4, 5, 6, and 7 a very high chord tempered steel. So the ball speed coming off of them is greater than a normal iron. Then the 8, 9 pitch, gap, and sand is a very soft steel, so the ball speed is dampened. So when I made my set, I actually picked up some yardage off of the irons through the whole realm. But the thing that I noticed compared to other companies that I have tried their clubs in the past that make single length, the yardage gapping stayed consistent. I wasn't hitting the 5-iron considerably shorter and the gap wedge considerably longer, and there was the normal gapping of 8 to 10 yards between irons. So it is a viable technology. The person that it actually benefits the most is that guy that I'm talking about that has a wrist to floor of 32, 33, maybe even 34 inches, because now all he's got are shorter irons. He's not having to try and adjust to an iron that's too long, and you're not taking a standard set, whereas a 5-iron would be 38 inches, and just whacking an inch off of it and say, here, go play, this now fits you, and he loses club head speed and yardage. So it is a good technology, especially for the folks that have a shorter wrist to ground.
Okay, dig that. Long
Did
distance
3 sets of those this week.
I feel like anything we talk about, you're doing 3 or 5 sets of. I love that. You're busy. Long distance fitting.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's an 11-page fitting form that requires you to get the data. As if you were coming to me. This is the data that I would gather. So it is kind of requiring a person to go to another facility that has a good launch monitor and gather the data, such as club head speed. The other questions in that 11 pages are things with shot patterns, where you're hitting the ball on the club face and that sort of thing. But I do need, in that fitting form, there is a spot for how fast do you swing a 5-iron, how fast do you swing a driver. Those 2 pieces of information you'd have to get from a launch monitor. So you'd have to go to a Golf Galaxy or to a club that's got. With that information, it is everything that I would obtain as if you were in my shop. So once you do that, I can communicate with the individual and say, hey, based off of this information, this is the club head type design that I would recommend. This is the amount of offset that I would recommend. This is the lie angle. This is the shaft, so forth and so on. It's been quite successful because there are folks that want to get an actual full professional fitting that I don't go into their territory. Like I just did this for a guy in Maine. We built him a set of the Alpha forged, the V2 MB muscle back blades. Absolutely loves them. Put them in KBS 130 stiff shafts, 2 degrees up, 1/4 inch over standard. Loves his clubs. He did the long distance fitting for him, and this is how we did it. He filled it out, gave me the information, and then we talked over the phone and then by email and built the set. I don't go to Maine. It's just one of the places I don't go. So it was viable for him. But there are other places, that people are in a remote area. So when I go out, like next week, I go to Denver, somebody in Poughkeepsie, I don't do. So, and they may not be able to just pick up and spend $500-600 to fly into Columbia. Now, I did have a guy fly in from New York this morning, do his fitting, and he's one of those guys that we're talking about that's getting one of the single length iron sets. His wrist to ground was 32.5 inches. So this fits him perfectly. So there you have it.
That's awesome. Golf ball fitting. Is it a thing? Do you do it?
Oh, yes, most definitely. With everybody that comes in that we do a fitting for, I always tell them what golf balls are going to fit. And it's funny you should mention that because I asked the guy today, I said, now, keep in mind, this guy gets on a plane this morning in New York and flies in to see me in fitting. So right now I know this guy is not hand to mouth. He's got to be okay. So I said, what golf ball? Let me finish. Club hit speed 63 miles per hour with a 7-iron. That's slow. I said, what golf ball you to play? And please don't tell me you play Titleist. He says, I guess I ought to be quiet then. What golf ball should I play? I said, with your club head speed, there's really only 2 balls. You got the Wilson Duo and you got the Callaway Super Soft because those are the 2 softest golf balls made. You'll compress it and the ball will rebound and come off the club face with better ball speed. The Duo, whereas is the softest ball, is not as a high performing ball as the Callaway. So I would suggest the Callaway Super Soft. I said, tell me it's not Pro V1. He said, no, it's the Pro V1X. I said, okay. It's like putting a bowling ball and a basketball on the ground, and I give you a sledgehammer. You hit the bowling ball, it does move, but not very far. You hit the bowling ball, and it just takes off. I said, yeah, I understand there's a difference in weight, but for this example, we're just talking about the compression and the rebound. I said, you try and hit a title. This is like playing that bowling ball. Stop it. You're wasting your money. He said, yes, sir. So I do ball fittings. It is an integral part of the equipment. Now, for the average golfer, let me interject here. For the average golfer, whatever that may be, for the vast majority of us, take a Pro V1 and then take a Bridgestone E6. They're pretty much, middle ground. One's firmer, one's softer. For the average golfer, you're not going to see 3 to 5 yards worth of difference off of a driver. It's just not there. When we're talking the longest ball versus the shortest ball in golf, we're talking maybe 5 or 6 yards at most. And one company comes out and their ball goes a foot further, they go, yes, sir. Now we can say we're the longest ball in golf. It's just not a whole lot of difference. Pick a ball, the average golfer again, pick a ball that performs around the green and gives you the feel like you want. That's the key. But with somebody that's 63 miles an hour, we need to get him a softball.
Yeah. I knew as soon as you started that conversation he played the Pro V1, but I knew it was the Pro V1X just based off of the way your tone was. So, yeah, change your golf ball. So you endorse Pure grips. Why not Lambkin or Win? Like, what's so good about Pure? Didn't mean to make you have to think about it.
Well, there's several things that they make a grip called the DTX. Now, I live in the South and I'm in humid conditions most of the time, and I'm a sweater. The design of the DTX grip is like that of a car tire, the tread. It channels moisture off so that it doesn't sit between your hand and the grip. That's why I like the DTX grip the most. Then they have the Wrap and the Pro. I'm not a big fan of the Wrap, but neither am I a big fan of Golf Pride Tour Wrap either. That grip to me is just too slick. But day in and day out, the longevity of the Pure grip is head and shoulders above everybody else's. Conceivably, you could play golf or practice every day of the year and not wear out a set of their grips in a year. So the longevity is the key. Then it's available in a wide assortment of colors. I mean, it's a rainbow. And then I can do customization on the grips, like put Potts or Ricky, or like the guy today wanted Zim on there. His last name was Zimmer. So he wanted Zim put on there. So that's why I like their grips better than the others that are out there in the industry. Now, that's not to say that there aren't other good grips, because there are. Every golf grip company has a good grip or good grips. So,
okay. So you're a top 100 club fitter. What does that mean? I mean, not even top 100. You're a top 100 master fitter. Like, is there a list of 100 guys that you're on?
Is there a list? Yeah, you could probably Google it and find it. Master fitter means I have been through advanced training, not just a fitter. So I have that. It's like going back to college and getting your doctorate. I've got the piece of paper that says I went through the training and I am certified as a master fitter. But you left out one part. It's not just top 100. Now, there is the Golf Digest top 100 in the United States, but my technical title is International Top 100. So this is a list of folks that every year do their dissertation, write out what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they're using to do it with, and so forth and so on. And then it's goes before a board of 5 or 6 people that go through all of it and meet the criteria and everything. Then you get that title, I guess.
And you're using that, obviously. That's a big deal. Like, that's pretty elite. I dig that.
It's an honor. Well, if I went back to college and got my doctorate, you better believe you'd be calling me Dr. Griffin.
Well, I mean, they do it now, so I do anyway. I don't even know if you got a doctorate. I just assume you do. So I didn't tell you before we went live that this was going to fly by, and you are never short on words, and I love that. And I wish that the next time, like, you were on the Friday foursome, now you're on the Wednesday match play. If and when you come back, we should do an hour-long special edition. I got 2 more questions before we jump to the back 9. The first one is, on your website, there's a book, 12 Myths golf book. What is that, and how are
12
you
myth,
connected
the
to that,
12
and
myths
why
of
that's
golf
awesome?
that could, the 12
Yeah.
myths that could ruin your golf game. Remember me mentioning Tom Wishon. This is written by Tom Wishon. For anybody listening, if they want a copy, all they have to do is contact me and I'll be glad to mail them a copy. It's dealing basically with 12 different myths that everybody has accepted as being the gospel truth about golf. That this will open your eyes as to what's been propagated down through the years that just doesn't have any factual background to it. Like, number one, a longer driver hits the ball further. It only does if you're able to swing it as fast and hit the ball in the middle of the club face, which we did a 3-year study 6 years ago where we tested well over thousands of 1,000 golfers. I forget the exact number, but it was above 1,200 that we took longer drivers versus shorter drivers, which was 44 and a half or shorter, 45 or longer. I had 6 people. That's this many. 6 people that could swing the longer driver and generate equal or greater club hit speed than they could with the shorter. Of those 6, not one hit the center of the club face as often. Therefore, their ball speed dropped and their overall yardage with the longer driver was actually less than with the shorter driver. There's a reason that tour players and professionals use 44 to 44 and a half inch drivers. That's because we know our club hit speed is not going to be significantly greater. In fact, this week I showed 2 guys that their club hit speed with an inch and a half shorter shaft actually went up over the longer shaft, and they hit the ball in the center of the club face. The guy was astounded. Both of them astounded. I mean, their shot patterns were like this on the club face, and when I took them shorter, it was the size of a ball. That's just one of them. There's others, but there are 12 myths that if people would read it, they'd start going, you know, maybe I should start thinking a little more about just accepting what I see on TV and commercials as being fact. Maybe it's not. One day, I mean, we can't do it now, but get me started. We'll talk about adjustable hosel and adjustable weight technology and how that's all a lie.
Oh my!
And people going,
Yeah, we just had like
what?
a month-long episode series where we just have you on every week. Oh my goodness, that's like a can of worms that we just don't have time for.
I know. That's why I said we can't do that now, but trust me, it doesn't work.
All right, one more question before we jump to the back nine. You mentioned lessons. Like, what's that about? What's that process like? I mean, are you giving the lessons? Do you work with other PGA pros? Like, tell me about that.
It's me. Because I'm giving away for free. It's me. So I do lessons that are for folks who have not gotten a club fitting, but whenever somebody signs up to do a lesson, like tomorrow morning, I got a guy coming in that I haven't done clubs for, but we're actually doing a lesson for him. First thing I'll do is check his equipment. I will do a very quick, short fitting to see if his equipment will prohibit him from doing what I want him to do from a skill set standpoint. And if it does, I'll tell him. Had a fella come in again this week. There's so many personal examples. A guy came in, wanted a lesson, and I checked his equipment out. I said, I won't teach you because what you're trying to swing, you can't do the skill. So we're winding up and fixing his clubs first, and then we'll start his lessons. And his lessons will become free because I'm doing his clubs for him. So it's a service. And whereas fitting somebody and getting them proper equipment is definitely gratifying, teaching them and seeing them progress and bring their handicaps down is probably even more gratifying because I'm getting to see the fruits of the labor.
Dig that. That's awesome. That's cool that you do that and that you do it for free whenever you fit somebody. Like, that's just like that service is something that you just don't expect or that you see anymore. Everybody's out to make a dime, and it's cool that you're able to fit them and put them into the own satisfaction that you get out of seeing their scores go down. So that's awesome. Well, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. We've been talking well over half an hour, but we got one more segment of this show. It's called the Back Nine. It's just 9 fun, random golf questions. Anytime you ever want to come on the show, you're always welcome back because we have I've got like 8 questions that I didn't even get to ask you because we ran out of time. But are you ready for your Back Nine?
Absolutely.
Oregano's in Scottsdale. I know you remember it. I remember where you sat, and I remember what we ordered. Have you had a better slice of pizza since Oregano's?
Never.
Or in your life
Never.
besides Oregano's?
Never before, and have not since, and I miss that I'm not going to get it this year, because that's where Frank and I were going to go while y'all were having the champions dinner. We were going to go get a slice of pie. Doggone you for bringing that up and making my
I know,
my
I'm so sorry, but I had to. Frank and I are meeting at the airport tomorrow, and we don't have time to go to Oregano's, but he might have to sneak away while I'm at the champions dinner because he's going to have the keys to the car, so I don't know where he's going to go. Do you listen to music while you play golf?
Of my own accord, no, but there are guys that I play with that have music going.
Okay, dig that. Now we talked about golf ball fitting. What ball do you play? You don't mind it. All right. You might mind what I listen to, dance music. I don't know if you'd be down for that. Like 130 beats a minute.
Bridgestone B330 RX. Bridgestone B330 RXS.
All right, that's a lot of letters and a lot of numbers. I'm just going to assume that I know what that means. I play the Titleist. See, I might be in that guy's shoes. I might not be playing the right one. Now, this. If you say the Legend of Bagger Vance, I know you're lying. But what's your favorite golf movie?
Oh, not Caddyshack. Although I do like it. Tin Cup.
Yeah, Tin Cups.
I can sit and watch Tin Cup and have forever and ever. Love Tin Cup.
Good.
Bagger Vance was good. Greatest game ever played. Was good.
I need to watch
Tin Cup is my favorite.
Have you seen Tommy's Honor yet?
Yes, watched it the other night.
Is it good?
My wife even said last night we were looking at the movie channel. She said that was a good movie.
Well, I'm playing the old course next month, so I have to watch it. I need to watch it on the flight to play the old course. Like, how much iconic could that get? Like, I'm flying to Scotland.
Oh, because I'm also a history buff. That aspect of watching it was great, and I absolutely like it. It is a good movie. Everybody ought to watch it.
Okay, dig that. Good cast, too. I don't know if you know this, but we had someone from that film on this show a few months ago, so check that out if you haven't seen it. Right. Now, you're in a place of the world that I've never been, and I'm a big beer guy. I got a beer in my glass right here. What is a couple of local good craft breweries where you're at? Entice me to come. I mean, I need to come see anyway, but entice me to come see you with the craft beer scene.
If you will understand this, where I'm going, and I don't mean to be offensive to anybody, but if you ever see me hunting, fishing, or drinking a beer, please shoot me because something is wrong.
So you don't know the craft beer scene.
It's hard for me to even say the word beer. Beer me. No, I have no clue. I don't even know if there is such. I know that there's probably some craft breweries in Columbia, but I wouldn't know about it.
Oh, that hurts right here.
What's that thing that the king wears on top of his head?
Crown.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. So there you have it.
All right, that's well played. I was like, where's this going? And then I got it. I'm not that slow. What's your favorite major? There's a major this weekend. I mean, who cares about the Open when the Oven's going on? But what's your favorite major?
Masters.
That's a popular answer on this show. Now, the Open is this weekend. Who wins? Who do you think wins?
Oh, can I give you a smart-ass answer? The guy with the lowest score. Oh, me.
Funny guy here.
I wouldn't bet against Spieth. Henrik. It would be neat to see him repeat. I think Justin Rose has got a good shot. As much as I would like to think that Phil could do it, I just don't see Phil doing it. So those are my top 3.
Okay. John Rahm, not one of them. He's playing good.
He is playing good, but I don't think he's quite there yet for this.
Okay. Dig that. Now, I know how you're going to answer, and I don't even want to ask the question, but be nice. Do you think Tiger breaks Jack's record?
No. And I've told you this, and I will say this.
No.
Tiger will not play when Tiger came back this year and made the comment that he was going to play, I think it was 4 out of 5 weeks. I said publicly and on the record, if he hasn't changed his swing drastically from what I've seen, he will not last 2 tournaments. Ricky, how many tournaments did he play in?
You were right. Whatever. I don't want to talk about
it. Okay. The problem is, and I go back, if Tiger wants to play competitively again, he's got to go back to his swing when he was a junior, more vertical and upright, where it's putting less stress on his lower body and his back.
With that swing,
and I'm
could
not
he
the
win
only one
more major championships? If he does that, could he win more majors?
If he goes plays, he can win more. He's got to go play, but he's got to have a swing that's not tearing his body down. And the problem is the swing just keeps re-injuring his body. And I go back and I blame his 2 teachers after he turned pro, and we won't call names, but they took him from what his swing was as a junior and started getting him flat and laid off. And then he had to get out of his own way, which caused him to snap the knee, which then started pushing pressure on the back. So the knee went first, then the back. And your body's not made to take that kind of stress.
Science. I mean, that's what it is.
But anyway, he's not, unless I don't see him breaking Jacks.
All right. That's a good – I mean, if we would have stopped at no, I would have been less happy. But the fact that you explained – I'm still not happy, but I'm more unhappy than – okay. And your final question of the hashtag Wednesday match play is, what's next? I mean, you're busy, you're grinding, you're traveling, you're all over the place. What's next for you and your club fitting?
Same old, keeping on. It's a service that I enjoy doing, so we're going to keep doing it. And I
love it. That's awesome.
That's it. It's a passion. It's very, very rarely do you get to do your passion. You get to do your passion. I'm doing my passion. So it will hopefully, as long as I'm healthy and well and continue to be blessed, I will keep doing it.
One of the things that I don't normally do on this show is when I have extra questions, I'm going to send them to you. And if you're so kind as to answer the questions that we didn't get to tonight, I'll make sure this gets posted to the blog, make sure this gets shared to the Google Plus Golf community. And this video itself is going to be on iTunes, Google Play as a part of the podcast. It'll be on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus in the golf community tomorrow. It's going to live on YouTube forever. So anywhere that you want to find this, it's going to be available. Doc, thank you so much for coming on the show. I personally am going to miss you so much this weekend at hashtag the Evans 17, presented by Eat Sleep Golf, just like the hashtag Wednesday Match Play is presented by Eat Sleep Golf. So please watch the hashtag, follow along, tweet us, retweet us, comment, share some of your history with the event. And as always, on the hashtag Wednesday Match Plays, you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf.